Welcome back to the Now Morning Show, continuing the conversation on this beautiful Friday morning. And this conversation is one for Calypso. TUCO's national elections will be taking place on the 18th of August, which, surprise, is today. Joining us via Zoom is Dr. Rudolph Ottley, presidential candidate, and so much more. Good morning, Dr. Ottley, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Before we begin, just one quick correction. The elections are already tomorrow.
Oh, okay, the 19th. Thank you for that correction. I was going to say we're having conversations while election day is going on, but anyway, let's move past that. I mean, this is definitely a monumental moment, I dare say, for you and, of course, for TUCO as well, because Calypso is the heart of our nation. And one of the things that we would love to know is what inspired you to say, all right, it's time to run for the highest TUCO office?
Actually, since the passing of our President Lutalo Musemba about existence 2 years ago, I think the organization has been rudderless, has been leaderless, has been going in circles. And therefore, I thought rather than sit on the fence and complain and make projections, as a lot of us like to do in Trinidad and Tobago, I will put my hat in the ring and see if I can assist in getting our organization out of this quagmire of nothingness that we found ourselves in. And as a result, I decided I will get involved in this presidential election.
Wonderful. Now, what would you identify, aside from what we just briefly discussed here, what would you identify as one of the key pressing issues in TUCO that needs to be addressed? And how would you, perhaps briefly, can you share with us how you would intend to deal with the situation?
Okay, there are a number of issues. I don't think there's one particular issue, but there are a combination of issues that are all linked. First of all, I think we have to modernize the operations of the organization, whereby administratively, for example, this election, we have foreign membership who cannot be involved because there's no reliable internet or digital connection within the organization. We also have to deal with the whole question of the Calypso tents, which is critical to the survival of Calypso. And we have to get away from this sense of cliquism and friendship in terms of how the membership for the tents have been selected. In other words, we have to get away from that whole idea of mediocrity in Calypso and now look for meritocracy, where we select people based on the credibility of their songs, not necessarily on their past name or who they're aligned with. For example, we have instances whereby because you're a chairman of a zone, you become an automatic member of the cast. And in doing that, you deprive a lot of young aspiring Calypsonians from becoming involved. So issues around that nature is things I will want to address. We also have to address the whole sense of training for the membership, not only the administrative staff, for Calypsonians. Assist Calypsonians in becoming more literate, more computer literate, that is, making them become more aware of the business of Calypso, the business of Carnival, ensuring that they become aware of the digitization world, how that helps, will help them in projecting themselves and the product that they produce. So there's a series of things that we'll want to address immediately. But the first two things that I will want to deal with is the digitization of the operations, and secondly, the Calypso tent. How do we save the Calypso tents from what has been you have been experiencing for the past 10 years or so?
You know, Dr. Ottley, some of the things that you just said there, I know they resonated with me. They're definitely going to be resonating with many viewers this morning on the Now Morning Show, because we're also seeing, at least I can hear from you this morning, that love for Calypso and that love to actually preserve the art form, keep it alive and pass it on to the younger generation in fine style with critical training, which is so necessary as well. But one of the things that I also got from your response is that there's definitely the bigger picture of leveraging Calypso, ensuring that TUCO is a part of bringing Calypso to not just the national but the international forefront as well. How would you say that ties in to your intention as president?
First of all, we must first recognize that Calypso music is the first music of the New World. And therefore, the kind of status and prestige associated with that music, what we see now being presented and how TUCO and Calypso is being treated or addressed in the society, we must correct that. Calypso has lost its stature, it has lost its positioning in the cultural realm of Trinidad and Tobago, and even in the wider world, because we have not paid attention to addressing some of the modern issues associated with culture, with entertainment, and more specifically with music, and to ensure we regain that status in the society and in the world. We have to make sure that the product we present, and the product being the music and the artist, the Calypsonian, must be of world-class standard. For example, what was quite evident during our pandemic, a lot of the young soca artists, they didn't rely on anyone to produce their music or to present themselves in shows. But you found that the Calypsonians were almost invisible because there's a reliance on corporate Trinidad or on TUCO for the Calypsonian to really get involved. We are saying no, as a Calypsonian, one must become a product, a brand, where he or she can go there and produce music and present himself or herself to the world, and do it in such a way that they gain prestige, they gain financial earnings, they become self-reliant. There's too much dependency, it seems, in the Calypso world on other factors in dealing with the art form. And therefore, one of the things I will want to do is to ensure my membership becomes self-reliant, becomes be able to sustain themselves by the product that they produce in the form of Calypso.
Fantastic answer, and looking forward to seeing this and some more diversification as well. Dr. Otley, I want to go back to the youth for a quick moment. Of course, the youth are our future and they play a pivotal role in ensuring that Calypso continues to live on. In your mind, where you sit now running as a candidate for the presidency, what things would you like to put in place, or perhaps have you already considered, to ensure that the youth also feel involved? Because that's very important. We see many times the younger Calypsonians coming up and they don't necessarily feel that they have that voice or that space. How do you intend to include them?
Well, I think sometimes it's a mindset from some of the young people. I think generally, though, the young people seem to be more attracted to soca because of how soca is presented. Soca is more glamorous. Soca, there seems to be more revenue to be earned from soca, and those are realities we have to deal with. Mm-hmm. But I think we also have a responsibility in TUCO to ensure that the young people are encouraged to participate, and that encouragement stems from the selection process. We cannot, for example, have a cast for the last 10 years where there are no new membership, and although there have been young people coming to audition, and you wonder, okay, these people audition, how come they're not given an opportunity based on their songs? And some of their songs are better than some of the people who are so-called regulars or seeded Calypsonians. And therefore, there must be an open-mindedness in the organization to accommodate and to facilitate the young people being part of the Calypso tents. Until we do that, we're going to have them, because when you look at the Junior Calypso Monarch competition, we have hundreds of young people involved. Mm-hmm. And you wonder why within that transition from Junior Calypso to Senior Calypso, at least 75% of them move towards soca, because they feel more welcome in soca, in the soca world. They like what they see out of the soca artists. And this in sense of revenue earning, it appears that they may earn more by becoming soca artists. So those are some of the issues we'll have to address to ensure that the younger people are involved. And critically to that is the selection process in Calypso tents. I think I have to go back to that. We cannot say that people are seeded and in spite of what they may produce for the year, there must be a yardstick to measure and select people based on what they produce for each carnival. In other words, the meritocracy of the song must be one that will sell and will bring people to the tents, as opposed to saying it's Mighty Jim Boots, who was Calypso Monarch 400 years ago, and therefore he or she must be selected based on that. I think that is something we must address, not saying that we must get rid of the guys who have worked before, but we will find a place for them in the business. But again, if this art form must live, we must provide for the younger folks, must find a place for them in the Calypso tent and encourage them to be there.
Absolutely. Dr. Otley, before we wrap this morning's conversation, just a quick question for you. Is there perhaps a Calypso or a memory of Calypso that you have that can encapsulate what you aim to bring to the presidency of TUCO?
One that really comes to mind is Black Stallion's Calypso in Time, where he talks about in time, because we may invest a couple dollars and we lose it, we give up on it. But we are not aware that the Lord has a plan for us. And when that immediate loss that you experience, rather than grieve about it, internalize it, ponder on it, and believe that there's something good that will come out of it. So if you have an opportunity before the program, that maybe you all could play that Pac Stallion song entitled "In Time."
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Otley. And thank you for being with us this morning on the Now Morning Show. Hoping that we're going to have you back soon in a different capacity. Have a wonderful morning.
Thanks again. Hope to see you soon.
Dr. Rudolph Otley, candidate for the presidency of TUCO's national elections, taking place tomorrow, the 19th of August. And taking place in a few moments is going to be your birthday, so stay tuned. This is the Now Morning Show.